Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here. I know that I will not be going to WrestleMania 33 this year, but one of the things that I'm really going to miss out on is WrestleMania Axxess. I know that if you go back and you watch my WrestleMania 32 video, when I was walking home from Axxess, I might have said it. I might have said that I was done with Axxess. But honestly, in my mind, I know from talking to Ravi, Assault and Battery 777, that he's been done with Axxess each and every year, but always finds a way to go back. It's honestly only Miguel, freaking Yaya 88, that has honestly kept true to his promise. Basically saying each and every year, even when we're making WrestleMania plans, that he has no plan to ever go back to Axxess again. I think we were spoiled by SummerSlam Axxess being a much smaller, intimate event. Yes, there were a lot of fans there, but you always left really getting your money's worth. Plus, the way that they did the VIPs at SummerSlam Axxess, it was a whole lot easier to get than it was for a WrestleMania one. I think that honestly, if you go into WrestleMania Axxess with, sort of smaller intentions, automatically right off the bat, if you're watching this because you're going to go to WrestleMania Axxess this year and you've never been to one, just know you're not going to meet everyone that is named to be there. There is going to be a lot of other people there. There will be long lines. That is known, that is going to happen. Last year at WrestleMania 32, I don't know if it was because it was in maybe a larger venue, or maybe the laws in Texas were less, but there was a lot more people in that Axxess session that I've ever seen in Axxess ever before. I will say that I was in 3 lines at Axxess. That's the least amount of people I've met since WrestleMania 27, when we went to the Axxess before WrestleMania, and with WrestleMania Axxess being located directly in the building, the Congress Center was right next to the Georgia Dome. I can understand that everyone that would be going to WrestleMania would go to WrestleMania Axxess because of the fact of how close they were together. With WrestleMania last year being located in Arlington and WrestleMania Axxess happening in Dallas, the fact that people had to take buses, that people had to take Ubers, people had to drive, take a cab. However, you could get out to Dallas Cowboy Stadium. I understand that morning session probably was not the most chosen one, but there was a lot of people in there, and I waited in probably one of the longest lines I've ever waited in Axxess history, as that was to meet the Bellas, as well as having a ton of fans in the line, as well as doing radio interviews and television interviews and shooting for Total Divas in the time that we were in line. I was in the second row of the queue, and it took me, I believe, if I can remember right, well over 2.5 hours to meet the Bellas, and they were really nice, and it was worth my time. From then, I went over and I hung out in the NXT, which they changed NXT last year. NXT used to be in a back corner of the convention, basically where a ring was set up. This year, because of the fact they shot NXT actual real television instead of just shooting non-televised sort of house show style matches, I think that they wanted to keep the NXT performers more fresh. In years past, they've had 3 to 4 people signing and taking pictures at a time, having some of the biggest names of NXT out there. I can remember I met Blake and Murphy, I met Kevin Owens, and I met Dana Brooke all at one time. And then I flipped through another time. I believe I met Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Baron Corbin, and there was another girl out there at that time, all at the same time. NXT used to be like this hidden thing in the back, which honestly had one of the shortest lines that kept moving so fast, where you could meet some of the biggest names of people that would be moving up to the main roster sooner than later. Since then, they sort of changed it last year. But honestly, when it comes down to it, I know that there's a lot of fans that always go to WrestleMania. They always, sell so many tickets. My biggest tip to you will be to make sure that you can acquire a VIP ticket, even if it's not for the biggest name that is out there. I know that they sell out so fast. This year, there was some miracles happening out there. So people said there was a glitch. Maybe there just wasn't demand for them. But it seemed like my friends that were going to WrestleMania bought every single Axxess VIP. I think Zach got 3 of them in a row, which is unheard of. It's hard to even get one in years past. But maybe they're listening and hearing the demand from people, and just maybe they're going to find a way to get people in and out of that line faster, and just keep it moving along and making sure that there's more people that can meet the bigger stars. Because you go to Axxess, you're going to meet guys like Zack Ryder. You're going to meet guys like the Funkadactyls. They're not even together. But you're going to meet those guys that are in the middle to the bottom of the pack. And those ones are always fun to meet. I can honestly tell you that at WrestleMania 28, when I went to Axxess, one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to meet the most amount of people. And I honestly purposely got in the shortest lines possible in order to meet the most available people. And I was shooting through. I met the Usos. I met Heath Slater. I met Kurt Hawkins and Tyson Rex. I met Howard Finkel. Jimmy Hart was one of the longest lines I stood in all day. I met Jinder Mahal. And, getting those pictures and getting those autographs is probably the biggest deal. If I can teach you one thing to learn from my past, is that do not bring a certain item for every single person to sign. Like, don't bring a figure for every person. Listen to me, listen to Robbie Rebel. You will be killing yourself at the end of the event, and you will want to just take that box of figures and throw it right in the trash, because it sucks to hold it. It even sucks to put it on the ground and kick it along in a line. Every single person in line will ask you what you brought, and by the time you have no care for that. Honestly, I would bring a backpack. Bring a book like the WWE Encyclopedia. I would bring that along. There's a brand new 3rd version that has got released since last year's WrestleMania, which would be fun to try and fill up. I can honestly tell you that I have the 1st edition and the 2nd edition, and by taking that to SummerSlam as well as WrestleMania Axxesses, I got a lot of people in there. And although if you bring both of them, they are quite heavy in your backpack by the end of the day. One of them is not going to make the biggest amount of difference to you. And it's going to have something for almost everyone to sign. It's got the blank pages in the front as well as the blank pages in the back that have places for newer people to the roster to sign. I've always liked to bring DVD cases. Not cases, I apologize. DVD slips for wrestlers to sign. The only problem is that for a lot of the guys, they put the same people on DVD covers, pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view, and it's hard to get ones for guys that are on there. But every once in a while, a Mark Henry gets on the cover of Night of Champions. Vladimir Kozlov is on the cover of that No Way Out. Sometimes they do slip somebody on there, and they are pretty cool to get signed if you are keeping your DVD collection from years past. It gives you a reason to sort of keep those things. With the network, they sort of collecting dust right now. It's easier to press a button and watch the show on the network than it is to pull out the DVD, put it in the DVD player, go over there, press play. Once it's over, remember to take the DVD out of there, put it in the case where you put it, and put it back on the shelf. So it makes, one like getting the Royal Rumble signed by Sheamus, by the one that he won, pretty cool to keep over there on the shelf. So, just know there's going to be long lines. Make sure you eat something before the event, or, they do have food, but that sort of takes away from the time standing in line. But they do have food that you're able to take on the run, like a hamburger or a sandwich, something like that. But, that stuff's always not going to be the biggest bang for your buck. Do not do what I did on Saturday of WrestleMania 30 and book yourself to be in Axxess all day, because of the fact that I had already bought, got a general admission ticket for the middle session of Axxess. I already had a Ric Flair session to meet him VIP style in the main event of the nighttime. Then came the day that Hulk Hogan signed with WWE, and they immediately announced that he would be having a VIP access in the morning. I was able to acquire one of those tickets, and I booked myself for session 1, session 2, and session 3 of the of Axxess before heading off to go to the Hall of Fame. I had to wake up early in the morning and able to get to Axxess and get in line to be able to go into the event to meet Hulk Hogan, and I didn't see the sun come up. I didn't see the sun in the middle of the day. I went into Axxess, stood in line, did my Axxess thing throughout the day, and when we went to go get in a cab to head over to go to Hall of Fame, I had not seen the sun all day, and the sun was already down. I basically had a lot of fun being in Axxess. It was a long, grueling sort of crawl through all the lines. I got to meet a lot of people, but I sort of noticed that day that I didn't get to experience anything of New Orleans other than the convention center and the Smoothie King Arena. So make sure that you give yourself some time away from Axxess to do some other things, because you're going to a city that you're probably never going to go to ever again. So those are the biggest things that I can give you about Axxess. I hope you love them. You're going to meet a lot of people. Make sure that you don't sort of look at people and judge people by who they are, because if you get in longer lines, you're going to meet lesser people, and the people that are meeting less people are more open to having better conversations with you, other than just signing your piece of paper, smiling for a picture, and then the person that's on the stage with them ushering you off the stage. If you can get a good question in and the person running the stage understands that the wrestler is into the conversation that they're having with you, they're not going to move you off of the stage quite as fast, and you'll be able to have more fun with that. So enjoy WrestleMania, enjoy WrestleMania Axxess, and live it up.